Oh, this is PT. Once again, it's good to be here with you again this very morning, and I'm so excited to have you here again to join me on this podcast series on my journey. Yesterday was so emotional for me because I got a lot of messages, a lot of calls from people. Some people who have not spoken for some time, they were calling and say, but I know you in the area. I didn't know that all this happened to you. There are some things that happens to us that we don't share immediately, but some people are aware. It's just a journey. Yeah. I'd like to share another story with you. How I became a pastor over a church, sometimes in Akure. I'd pastored several churches. I remembered my first church in Ado-Ekiti. I started it with about 20 people and it grew to about 115. Later, it grew to about 300 membership. And from there, I went to Akure to pastor a church about 350 or 300. Then I didn't spend more than 1 month in that church before I was moved to another parish that they said the attendance was about 500. But when I got there, it was about 350 there, about 350 to 400 in attendance was the zone headquarters. I had a head pastor. I was just a parish pastor. Yeah, I had it as a good time. We had about almost a year in that church. Then a time came, I was, of course, asked to go start a new church, a new parish entirely. This was where the challenge started. So being a small parish that was just a newly started and inaugurated parish, it wasn't very easy at the beginning, but then I started after all. With just myself and few people. I remember that. My pastor had called that about 7 people will be following me to start a parish, but unfortunately, only one person showed up, who happens to be a student of School of Nursing in Akure. I remember where we have ShopRite today in Akure used to be Owena Motel. That was the Owena Motel Hall was where I was using as a church. Obviously, the place has been used for several years for ROCCG, so it's everybody knows that there's a parish there. So, but then that was my old parish who moved to his permanent site, and I was asked to start a new parish there. So some people still flock in, they still come in and go out, but having because the way we started, there was no drum set, no equipment, nothing. Even ordinary speaker, we didn't have anything basically. So, and I mean, doing a church like that wasn't going to be an easy ride. So I kept struggling in that church. I remember that I had just one member. We do Bible study together. Um, I don't know how easy it is to take offering when you pastor just one person. My wife was still in school at the time, comes once in a while. So it was not very easy. But I had some people who joined along the line. Our membership was going to about 5, 6, sometimes 7, sometimes 8. I remember 2 bankers who joined us. I remember the one person joined us who just relocated from the UK at the time, herself and her husband, and they joined us. Their offering and tithe for the first Sunday they joined us was about 40,000 naira. I was amazed because our offering usually was just maybe 600 or 400 or 500 plus tithe. Maybe everything would be like 1,000 naira. you know. So when somebody joined us and it was 40,000, I was amazed. I mean, I had to find the person. Remember finding to know the person's house, who is she. I realized that she happens to be one of the daughters of a former governor in Ondo State. It was amazing. We still talk today, but that was a really big one for us in the church. Or a small church like that. Where am I going with this story? Things were tough. It was rough. It was hard. It was really, really hard, pastoring a church like that. So I didn't know what to do. I was confused. I remember that I had a woman who joined us with 5 children. It was so exciting when I saw that woman come. I used to go pick them every Sunday, bring them to church. I get to church around 7 a.m. for workers meeting. I'm the only one there as the pastor. No other worker is available. I'll sit down after I've cleaned the chairs, sweep the entire church, arrange everything I need to arrange. Nothing big because we didn't have any instrument at all. So I'll just be calling the members on the phone. Are you coming to church today? Some that I need to pick, I'll pick. So our attendance grew to about 10. The 10 was inclusive of the woman that joined with 4 or 5 of her children. I remember the day the woman told me that she got a new apartment in another far place, about 40 minutes drive to church. Oh, it wasn't easy. And she said, Pastor, I found a church beside our house. RCCG is in every 5 minutes walking distance in Nigeria. So she found another church. I told her, I said, no, 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 you have to stay with us. I'll be coming to pick you. So I run to pick her, bring her to church. When we finish service, I'll take her back. That was the journey. It wasn't that easy. But I remember one day the government wrote us that that place has been sold to ShopRite on something like on a lease of 25 years. I can't remember, that we need to move out of that place. That was a big blow on us. Our church was just about 3 months or 4 months at the time. We were still struggling with our attendance. We had no equipment. It was hard. So that was how they gave us 1 month. I started looking for location. I couldn't find. I remember I found a location. This location has about 6 other churches uh, in that particular location. 6 other churches. It's like a complex. It's a 4 corner complex. Complexes that they build like this, and then like this, and then the entrance is open. So occupied. People were not using the place basically because it was not a busy area, so businesses could not take they were like shops, blocks of shops. So churches took it, broke 3, 4 shops together, and they were using it. That was it. So I remember I took my PICP there, and he said, no, 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 Tunji, is this where you want to shut down your destiny? He said, no, this is not a location for you. So I kept on looking until I was able to find one place. I found a place, nice place, occupied house on the rock on the last floor. Second floor was where I saw the okay, is it the third floor now? The second floor was vacant, and then the ground floor occupied the supermarket. So I was negotiating for the second floor. I never knew that the top floor housed House on the Rock. I thought they just told me that it was a church, that something something rock. I never knew that House on the Rock used to branch their churches at the time. So I didn't know it was House on the Rock. So we took the place. The woman that gave us the place told us it was just one new church because she's not familiar with us on the rock. So why am I saying that was when I entered into that hall and we started our church. We're just a growing church. We had moved from a location to this one. So some people didn't follow us. Our attendance dropped back to 5. It was a compact hall. Was okay for us, but then we were using it like that. I remember that. When I just suddenly noticed that people were dashing into that church, they were dashing in and coming out. Once they climbed the stairs, the same stairs we use, so they just see our entrance and then they move on to their own place. Sometimes I would think they are coming to our church and realize that they were just passing by. Some people will mistakenly even enter our own hall, only to find out that, oh, this is not House on the Rock, and they just go. Up till this time I'm talking about, there was no signboard. We didn't have a signage. They also didn't have a signage. I only see people go in there, and I never walked in there to even know who they were until one day we had a few equipment, and I realized that once they start their praise and worship, and then whatever they do is coming out. I mean, once they on their equipment, it comes out from my own microphone. This sounds absurd, but that was it. As I put on our own microphone, don't forget, I didn't have an engineer who manages all of these things. I'm the pastor, the engineer, the usher, everything together, So as I put it on, I noticed that what they are doing upstairs comes out from our own microphone. Ah, ah. So I went to speak to the pastor. The pastor told me that they had a very solid equipment, that he knows that is going to be a challenge for us, that he had spoken to their engineer to reduce their equipment by 75%. I didn't understand. So you mean what you are using is just 25% because of us, and that 25% voltage is still coming out of our own microphone? I knew I was in a big, big problem. There was nothing I could do. We just paid in our rent. We just moved in there. We didn't know what to do. That pastor is still is not in House on the Rock anymore. He's in Abuja now. He runs his own ministry. Anytime we speak, we just laugh over that thing. So it was tough. It was tough. It was tough for us. Um, but I kept on. I kept on pushing. I kept on pushing. I kept on pushing. Our attendance was, sometimes it will go up, sometimes it will come down. Where am I going with this story? A time came that uh, my landlord said we didn't pay agency fee, we didn't pay lawyer fee. I said, "Ma, but you were the one I walked up to you to take this rent. Didn't speak to any agent. I didn't speak to any. Like, why am I paying this?" She insisted we need to pay the money, and we didn't have the money. Apparently, there was another branch of RCCG right beside us. Actually, the law, I mean the rule in RCCG is every 5 minutes walking distance. But I had trekked the entire city of Akure, checked everywhere, driven around the city. I couldn't find a hall. So when I saw this one, I saw an RCCG just about 3 buildings beside this hall. I walked it, but I saw that it wasn't up to 5 minutes, but it was like 3 to 4 minutes, not exactly 4 minutes, but was above 3 minutes. So I felt no, we could go, and I don't want to take chances because we were losing out on our former hall. They had even asked us to move, and I didn't want the church to get stranded, So I just had to take that all. And I told myself that if they ask me that didn't you see that other parish, I'll just say I didn't really notice. Apparently the parish too just have one small signage, one very small signage like that. So I said I would just use that as an excuse. At the end of the day, the other parish began to complain that why did we come to take a place beside us? At the end of the day, the province came into the matter. They tried to resolve it between us, but they couldn't find a resolution because truly, let me be truthful to you, it was very close, just 2 buildings away from one another. So at the end of the day, they decided that the two churches should merge together. He had about 50 membership, but their Sunday this thing used to be like 12 or 13. We were still struggling with 7, 8 or 10 at times. So they merged us together, and I was told to pastor the two churches. The other pastor was transferred somewhere else. Um, it was a season of challenges and a season of sacrifice, but I put my heart into it. I put all I had into it. I committed everything I need to committed my finance. My business was doing well. Even though I was a full-time pastor, I was running a small business, but I put everything I had into it. So I was asked to choose in between the two halls, because of the challenge I was facing with the other church there. I had to go for this other hall. Apparently, this other hall was cheaper. I was paying 350 on this new hall, but this other hall was 150. It was bigger. There was no other person that was going to disturb us over there. No competition, because sometimes church could be competition if you are too close. By the time I moved to that place, I noticed there's another challenge because right in front of us, like few buildings, there was another Redeemed Church. At the back of this new place too, there was another Redeemed Church. The two churches are bigger. One is zona headquarters. The other one ahead of us is area headquarters. You know, a bit of a challenge to grow like that. But by the time we merged the two churches together, I put in all my resources into this new building, painted the entire place, changed the windows. This thing they call louvers. Louvers was what was there. I changed it to aluminium, and then repainted the entire church, repainted the building, renewed the altar, and people had been members of that four other church who had left. They saw the renovation, and then they dashed in. By the time I was doing my first service in that particular building, the two churches as one. We had about 50 to 60 members. I was so excited, but something happened. You know, I didn't spend more than 1 week in that new coalition. Just 1 week. Sometimes you go through challenges, but God is noticing your commitment, is noticing your service, is noticing your heart. The art of the your heart matters, you know in whatever you are doing. I mean, when it has to do with God's work, you must commit your heart and be faithful. Faithfulness is the word. I mean, maybe God saw my faithfulness. I don't know. I just got a call that my attention was needed by the general overseer, and that was it. I was promoted. I was transferred from Akure to Ilorin, and everything about my life in ministry changed from that moment. When I look back at it, that what is this about? Sometimes you are going through challenges, but God is seeing you. He's seeing you, he's looking at you, he's watching your heart, he's watching what you were doing. I was committed to what I was doing. There were people who were doing fantastically well. See, the journey you are running is different from my own journey. Our journeys are different. So don't look at who is succeeding beside you today, because that is just a season in the life of that person. Your own season is also coming. Put your mind in what you are doing, focus on it, find a way that can always make you achieve success. And I'll see you again next time to share with you the completion of that story. I'll see you again.